You can't put up a Christmas tree until Georgia beats Georgia Tech. And in years where Georgia loses to Georgia Tech, there's no Christmas tree. Welcome to My Gotta Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview the 2021 edition of Clean Old Fashioned Hate, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out store.mygottapodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, if you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, 5 stars obviously, and review the show. If you leave us a review, you just might hear it on an upcoming episode. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. So, it's here. We're here. We've reached the week of Clean Old Fashioned Hate, renewing the game that we had to miss it last year. We didn't get to play these guys. So this is the first ever My Gotta podcast where we sit here and talk about Georgia Tech.
It's finally here. I know that you've been waiting for a while to talk about this one.
I have. I hate these guys. Apologies to anyone on Twitter that I've come after and said, stop talking about Alabama. I know, a lot of people don't care about this game and like to say that it's not a rivalry and they're not on our level and all these kinds of things. I don't know. I don't subscribe to that. So for me personally, I hate these guys. So I want to beat them. I don't care if we're better than them. We're supposed to be better than them. They're quote unquote not a rival. All that stuff, whatever. That doesn't make me want to beat them any less than I always do. So that's my thoughts about it. I'm not a fan.
Yeah,
not a fan of Georgia. I'll get into why. I'll get into why later, but
I don't know. I think that it's one of those situations that over time I hate them less and less because the rivalries they just become a bigger joke by the Coke than they ever were. So I don't know. I think that it really kind of started going downhill after George O'Leary, I feel like, right? They hired Chan Gailey and he was okay. But then after that, when they hired, Paul Johnson, and now, good Lord, since they've hired the ACC version of Dan Mullen, it just seems like it's just taken a whole new level of tomfoolery over there.
Yeah. I would say this, as far as when it would change, it's when Georgia hired Mark Richt. That's when it changed. We have not lost at Tech since 1999, which is, the last time someone other than named Mark Richt or Kirby Smart was Georgia's coach. So, yes, Richt lost some home games against Georgia Tech, and obviously Kirby, lost to Georgia Tech in his, first year in a home game. But it's called historic Mark Richt Field for a reason.
Well, right. So, but I do think that, yes, obviously to Mark Richt, but Mark Richt, didn't have as much success with some of these other places because they had competent coaches and stuff. So I do think that yes, the timing certainly coincides with Rick arriving, but from a they set themselves up for failure scenario was when they really. I feel like if I had to pinpoint it, is when Paul Johnson was hired, they effectively were just giving up. We're not going to compete against Georgia anymore. And then they hired Jeff Collins, and I feel like that was God bless them. That's just that was just their attempt at hey, we're going to try to hire a hip and cool coach. And little did they realize that they hired the Dan Mullen of the ACC.
Yeah, I actually I thought it was a good hire for them when they hired him. I felt like they did need to get away from the triple option. The triple option worked right when Paul Johnson got there because he was able to run that scheme with high caliber athletes that were recruited before he got there, right? And then once he had to recruit them himself, you can't get talented guys to commit and go play in the triple option because they're throwing away their NFL hopes and dreams, right? So like that wasn't
Right,
going to work.
right, right.
Long term, that wasn't going to work. It was a nice short term fix for them, but long term, it didn't work. So I think they needed to make the switch back offensively, and that made sense. I thought Geoff was going to do better than he has. I'm happy to have been wrong to this date. There was an article that Jeff Schultz had in the Athletic this week that's pretty scathing, and not just him. Like has commentary from Roddy Jones, I think, which he was one of the backs that played. He did play under Paul Johnson. He's one of the guys that kind of ran all over us that one year when they beat us in Athens. I think in 2008, but I mean, he had pretty scathing commentary over Geoff and how he just hasn't done it yet, and like they're still trying to lay a foundation like 3 years in, and when is it going to kind of change? So definitely some unrest on their end. And I don't see anything on that changing on that this week. So let's hit the usual stuff. So as far as the matchup goes. So yet another noon kickoff. So 12 o'clock kickoff on ABC. So it is on back to a normal broadcast. So you don't have to go search around for it streaming this week. So you can rest easy if you're watching on TV. It'll just be on regular network television on ABC. The official hashtag is hashtag UGA versus GT. And does look like it should be a nice day. Clear skies, high 57 and a low of 30. So bring your pullover, bring your starter jacket, and
bring your warm clothing.
Let's see. Georgia Tech is 3-8 on the season. They are 2-6 in the ACC, and they are on a 5-game losing streak heading into this one. One thing I will say, if people want to say this isn't a rivalry, but I say it's definitely not a rivalry unless the schools argue over the record, and we do argue over the record. So Georgia says the series is 68 wins for Georgia, 39 losses, and 5 ties. Georgia Tech claims to have 41 wins, but we dispute that and say that 2 of those games did not count. So always love it when that happens.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's see. We can hit the news and notes as well. So I did listen to Kirby's press conference this week. So one of the things that actually first that we didn't mention when we reviewed the Charleston Southern game was that was the 850th win for Georgia football. So again, it went by and didn't kind of really notice. We forgot to even say it in the last episode, so kind of ho-hum. But it's a big number. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're coming up on surpassing the University of Tennessee, I believe, too, on that ranking. So I don't know that we're going to hit it this year, but soon, Tennessee.
Yeah, someone wrote an article about that recently about like how we're coming up on being able to pass a couple of schools. I can't remember where I saw that. Or maybe I heard that on one of the other podcasts that I listened to. I don't know, which could be a number of them. I know we're definitely chasing some folks down. So the things that stood out to me from the press conference, like Kirby was kind of asked about like the rivalry and how does he view it and how did he view it growing up. And it was kind of funny. Like Kirby actually said he wasn't a huge college football fan growing up. With his dad being a high school coach, I guess he said he was more into like following high school football, and then he just watched TV on Saturdays, is what he said. So I don't know, that was kind of funny. But he did say that like when he got to Georgia, it was very ingrained into the players. Like you've got to beat your in-state rival, you've got to beat your in-state rival. So it kind of I guess grew on him then in his playing days. What was interesting with that was that he did say that they as a coaching staff today don't really do that. They don't harp on that. And he basically said like, who's not a rival? Who is not a rival, right? Like everyone's a rival. I guess it kind of goes into the process thing,
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I would definitely say that this is a rivalry for a lot of folks, particularly
Yeah,
the folks that stroke chicks at the University of Georgia.
yeah, for sure. And Kirby also pointed out, like when they were talking about like his playing days and stuff, he said that our guys weren't born yet when I was playing, which Kirby, thanks for making us all feel old. So I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah,
he
that's
did
true.
he did call out that they were asking him about like what does Tech do well and all these kinds of things, and like he quickly got to, well, they're always do a good job in the kicking game. So I thought that was funny. uh,
Oh, Kirby.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Kirby. I mean, he personally has some investment in this because that was his, one of his final home games was a loss to these guys.
yeah. It was his final home game. Yeah, his senior day. His senior day was wrecked by these guys. Sorry for the pun. Didn't realize I was going to do that. But yeah, and then on the injury front, so he got asked about Jamari Salyer, Chris Smith, and Nolan Smith. Here's what he said: feel good about all three of them, hopeful about all three of them. Then there was a little bit more talking, and he came back to it and said, we feel like Jamari will be back. We feel like Nolan will be back, and we're hopeful that Chris will be back. So I don't know. Between that, it sounds like Jamari Salyer and Nolan Smith are probably most likely to play. And the fact that Chris Smith got an extra hopeful, not sure about that. So apparently, like he like banged knees with someone in practice leading up to Charleston Southern game, I believe, is what happened there, and that's what caused him to miss that game. So
Yeah. Hopefully we see everybody back and healthy, and we at least get a full squad, or get a further indication that we're going to have a full squad for the SEC championship game.
yeah, for sure.
And we keep the 100% health for the SEC championship. That's the key, right? Like I think everybody kind of, obviously the advanced stats and everything like that showcases that this should be a pretty good win for us, but the key is going to be what cost will it be to us, and I'm hoping that cost is very minimal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we can't. I mean, I will just go ahead and go to this and say this: like, we can't have a situation like when George Pickens threw their dude in the wall. That's the kind of thing that we've got to have our players watching out for. I mean, this is their Super Bowl, right? I mean, they've got nothing to play for. They're not going to go to a bowl game. This is it. All they can hope to do is ruin our season, which is pretty par for the course for these guys, including their fans. I mean, they care more about hating Georgia than they care about loving Georgia Tech. I mean, their official fight song, says "to hell with Georgia" in it. I mean, do we say "and to hell with Georgia Tech" or "and to hell with insert opponent" at the end of ours? Sure, but it's not like officially in it. Their fight song mentions Georgia. They exist to hate us, and that's why I hate them. Anyway, sorry, I continue to harp on these guys. Can you tell that I don't like them, John? I don't know.
Yeah, I can certainly tell. I guess part of me is I guess a bit of backstory on how how I felt about Tech growing up. But like, growing up, I rooted for Georgia Tech because I just wanted to make my dad mad. Like it wasn't like super overt or anything like that. But like I thought that I was going to go to Georgia Tech, right? But then as things tend to happen, you grow up and you realize, you put away childish things and start to realize that I want to go to the University of Georgia. And so, anyway, that's kind of my my backstory on how I felt about Tech growing up. So like part of me, feels for them, but on the other side, I definitely just want to destroy them, especially since it's the worst thing possible to have them win. If they win, it's a bad year for anybody associated with UGA, because especially if you live in Georgia, because you're never going to hear the end of it from the Tech fans that are around.
Yeah, that's definitely a bonus of living in North Carolina, is there's not many Tech fans, outside of Atlanta. But no, I agree. I mean, it's in my family. I mean, so my grandfather, my dad's dad, went to Georgia Tech. Thankfully, my dad broke that mold and went to Georgia. My uncle, my mom's brother went to Georgia Tech. So, it is a family thing. But that doesn't keep me from hating them. But so to look at like the actual game and previewing that a bit, when you look at like for the Georgia offense, right? So for when we have the ball, I think just what to look for here is just hoping for. I think we just need to jump on them early and not have any silly stupid mistakes and just jump out to that lead and then we can just smother them. We should be able to do that. The Georgia Tech defense is 13th in the ACC and 106th in the nation in scoring. So they average giving up 32 and a half points per game. When I say they're 13th in the ACC, there are only 14 teams in the ACC. So, not a good defense. I mean, their last game, like I said, they've lost 5 in a row. Last week they lost to Notre Dame, 55-0. They give up points in bunches. It's the kind of thing where our offense shouldn't have a problem here. Like I said, we've just got to go out there and execute and not let Tech run their mouth and get us mad about something and do something dumb. I mean, that's basically my offensive analysis. I don't know if you have anything else, but that's kind of my thoughts when we got the ball. There's not much to it as far as to analyze. I don't see.
Yeah, no, I think that there's just not much to them at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's not.
They're a bad football team in a bad conference. I mean, ironically, like Clemson is literally just above them in terms of scoring from points per game on the offensive side. So like they're a really bad defense, right? But like even on the offensive side, they're nothing to scream home about either. So,
yep.
I don't know, man. Like this, I think I have a pretty good feeling on how this is going to shake out from a scoring perspective, and it's probably going to look pretty similar to the Charleston Southern game.
Yeah, I very well could. And we can pivot that because I don't think we have to spend a terrible amount of time analyzing, because like we said, but let me give you some stuff on their defense, on their offense. So their offense as compared to our defense. So their offense they're 10th in the ACC and they're 80th in the nation in scoring. So again, like you said, not the best offense either. Kind of the lone bright spot for them is their running back. So Gibbs is 8th in the ACC with 745 rushing yards. He averages 5.3 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns. So like, compared, I know like their offense doesn't play our offense, but he's got more yards rushing than any of our backs, but with a lower yards per carry. Like it's a volume thing, right? So like Zamir White, James Cook, they all average more yards than this guy does. He's like kind of a single. He gets a much bigger share of the carries for Tech than any of our guys do. But he is the guy that Kirby singled out. Like I made the joke where Kirby kind of quickly went to the kicking game, and he did. But before he did that, he did talk about this guy. And I don't have like a Scott Howard pronunciation guide. I actually don't know how to pronounce his first name, so apologies. I think Jameer. If I just reading it, would be my guess, Jameer or Jameer. So he is the guy to watch, right? So he's the guy to watch, and you just don't want to let him break off a long one because he has done that. He's had some pretty long touchdown runs this year, but it seems like he's pretty much the offense. And then they've rotated quarterbacks. We don't know who we'll see. Neither of them have had eye-popping stats, but they've played 2 guys, so Jeff Sims and Jordan Yates. Yates has started their last 2 games, but I don't know what that really means. They kind of keep going back and forth between the 2. Geoff can't seem to make up his mind on that. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot that impresses you from their offense either. And then again, just with our defense, um, I expect us to do what we've been doing on
Yeah,
defense.
I mean, much like what we did with the previous. What was it? I think it was the Tennessee game that where we played like the SEC leading rusher. It was like, well, you kind of peel back the layers of that onion, and it was like, where did he have that success? Well, in the loss to Notre Dame, he only ran for 58 yards. He was averaging 4.8 yards a carry against a Notre Dame defense, which is not terrible, but like obviously not in the same vicinity as UGA. Then you look at the UNC game. This is one where they won. At the time, UNC was ranked 21 in the nation, and he still only ran 64 yards against Clemson, which is probably the closest amalgamation of it's probably the closest game to a defense that's similar, at least at the time. He only ran for 30 yards against Clemson, averaged 2.7 yards a carry. So like most of his yards have come against pretty bad teams. Pitt, a team that has been getting some hype lately for like a top 25 or whatever, but like he ran for negative 10 yards. So like he doesn't have, he's got like, some decent stats or whatever, but like at the end of the day, like when this team is up against a very good defense, I have a feeling that we're going to shut him down, which is not shocking if you've listened to the podcast and you listened to us talk about, our defense is where your offense goes to die. And if we're able to shut them down on that side of the ball, I mean, that's half their game. If you look at their yards, like they're pretty balanced. Like they're averaging almost as many yards on the ground as they are, through the air. So I just don't see this being much of a concern for us from that perspective with him.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, that's kind of that thing. Like, how many times do we see? Yeah, we did it to the SEC's leading rusher multiple times. Like whoever was the the leading rusher at the time, we did it to them.
Right.
We've done it to receivers. Like we did it to Treylon Burks from Arkansas, which I mean, he had a great game against Alabama. Like so like I think it our defense is kind of speaks for itself at this point. So agreed.
Mm-hmm.
On special teams, Kirby said that they do have a good kicking game. Only thing I have to add there is that same guy, Gibbs, is their kick return guy. So again, just have to watch for that, and hope the kick coverage holds up well against him. But that's the only thing that I had of note for their special teams. So
you had said that Yates started their last 3 games. Is that what you said?
He started their last 2 games.
The last 2 games, but he played in some of these other ones because of his game log. The reason.
Well, so he has started more than just those 2 games. I'm just saying he did start the last 2. I think it's pretty much even. Like I think Yates has started 5 games and Sims has started 6. Like it's like one of them has started one more game than the other. It's been pretty even. They just keep going back and forth.
Interesting. I wonder if that's part of their problem. They can't get some consistency at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I was trying to look into it. Like, did somebody get hurt or something? And I'm not sure. Like, I didn't exhaust all of my my resources in that, but I did see, like, just looking at the game logs, like the leading passer per game, that it just kind of has gone back and forth. Like I said, it's been kind of like in bunches or in buckets. It's like, so let's see. Yates started the first 3 games. Then Sims started for 6 games. And then it's been Yates again the last 2 games. So
right.
Kind of weird.
But either way, like they've all played in a bunch of different games.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I'm just looking. I'm looking at some of the splits. It almost looks like that their passing game for both quarterbacks is like all over the place. If anything, they've gotten worse as the season has gone on because their completion percent. So like they completed 50% of their Yates completed 50% of his passes against Notre Dame. He was 14 of 28 for 96 yards, and then Sims didn't play. So at least he didn't register any attempts in that game. So you have to figure if you're completing 50% of your passes again, and then you layer that on with the run defense that we have. This is this is going to be a lovely evening for haters of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely lines up that way. I mean, this is we're back to the like any given Saturday. Like that's the only thing you can say about this game, like on paper, right?
For real.
I mean, it has to be like a monumental. It would have to be a monumental mental block for these guys to have a chance. So, and that's where I get back to my like, again, like me kind of harping on this game and like not looking ahead kind of deal. It's not that it's not me saying that is not around like Munsoning, and it's not around like being worried. It's just that I just want to like bury these guys. So
yeah, which it appears that we are going to do just that.
Yeah, we should. So on that note, you wanna get into the listener questions?
Let's go. Let's jump in.
All right. First up, we've got Zach, SCDog864 on Twitter. If you could swap one school in the SEC for another team, who would it be and why? And then he added, I'd rather give up Vandy for an ACC team. I mean, I think that's right. I think it's got to be. I mean, so for me, it's either Vanderbilt or Missouri. So Missouri, I felt never fit in the SEC. They're not in the Southeast. That's the Midwest. So that never fit. Vanderbilt obviously just isn't. If you're looking at football, they're pretty terrible, and they ruined our senior day last year. So that's who I would say, as far as like swapping them for. And if you said an ACC school, I mean, definitely not Georgia Tech. They had their chance. They were in the SEC and they left. So I would never re-extend that invitation. But I could say, drop Vanderbilt or Missouri for maybe a Clemson, or like UNC, Chapel Hill, maybe. But they wouldn't leave the ACC because of basketball. So
I'm dropping Vandy and I'm dropping Missouri and I'm adding Georgia Tech and I'm adding Clemson. Those are the two. Those are my two.
Georgia Tech can't come back. There he left. Too bad. So sad. That's my opinion.
Well, I would just like to have them in the conference to just to make this. All right. So I guess here's the caveat. If we're going to continue to play Georgia Tech annually, I would like this game to mean more than just a rivalry game. You know what I mean? Like I would like to not only bury them like as a team, but bury them in their conference. You know what I mean? Like make it a double whammy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the problem there for me is when you let someone in the SEC, that is an immediate boost to recruiting because you get to play in the SEC. And I don't want to give them any help because they don't deserve it. My opinion. But fair enough.
Okay. Fair enough.
Let's see.
I mean, that's the same thing could be said about Clemson.
Yeah, but I mean, I mean, you're helping anyone who comes in, right? So that's fair. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, maybe not them either. No, don't let anyone in. Like I always say, you should just contract because there's too many teams. I don't think you need to let anybody in. Make it smaller.
Right.
That's my opinion. All right, let's see. Next, we've got Eddie from Ackworth, at Eddie Mattingly on Twitter. If Pickens is a go, do they allow him to play in a meaningless Tech game or hold him till the SEC championship? I'll say first off, I don't think he will be cleared anyway, so I don't think it's going to matter. But if we pretend that Pickens is cleared, I mean, I guess you could let him out there, but you've got to be like, no throwing anyone into a wall. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the chances of him playing in this game are zero. Zero.
I feel like that he's just not going to be playing this year, like at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It almost feels like that there's kind of like with the JT Daniels kind of situation. My conspiracy theory is that he's much more hurt than they've let on throughout the entirety of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he played last game, I still think he's hurt. Like, you know what I mean? I think that they're
Yeah.
just trying to get him, as an emergency situation, because clearly he's the emergency backup plan, based on how it's played out. It seems like, anyway. Pickens, on the other hand, we don't necessarily need him right now, particularly with how the offense has been rolling and the defense the way that it is. There's no reason to risk him or to risk his recovery or to even like mess with the mojo of what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that just putting him in the game means that another wide receiver that's been producing, are you going to take out AD Mitchell? Are you going to take out Burton? Who are you gonna pull that's been proving themselves game in and game out? I mean, there might be an argument made that maybe he could get in over Robinson. I could maybe see that kind of argument, but
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think I don't think he's going to play the rest of the year.
I don't think he will either. I mean, it would be a monumental recovery, which is not unprecedented. Other people have done it before, but everyone heals at a different timeline. I mean, the fact that he's out there running routes in practice and non-contact, and he was out there catching passes, in warm-ups for Charleston Southern. I mean, that's impressive. He's coming a long way, and I think part of like showing him doing that is, I mean, yeah, it's recruiting. It helps recruiting, and frankly, it helps Pickens sell himself to the NFL, because I would imagine he's going to enter in the NFL draft this year. So it's, hey, NFL scouts, look at this guy. He is almost ready to be back, right? So it's almost like a promotional thing to help Pickens, as he enters into the next chapter. That's kind of how I feel about it. I would be surprised to see him step on the field this season. So certainly not this week. I don't see it happening this week.
Yep.
All right. Friend of the show, Tim Riley, next. This was actually a nice segue because you kind of went into this a little bit. Tim said, was not excited by the body language and energy of the quarterbacks on Saturday, that being the Charleston Southern game. Was it really that cold? Especially JT Daniels once he entered. Please discuss if we will have a need for both quarterbacks down the stretch, and is Georgia Tech the true warm-up grounds for a two-quarterback scenario? I feel like you kind of hit on that, kind of segued into that a bit. I don't like a two quarterback scenario, period. I don't like a rotation. Like, I think we saw that earlier this season, and I don't feel like it worked when they did the rotating, like going back and forth. Our best quarterback play games this year have been when either JT is hands down the starter and he's playing, or Stetson is hands down the starter and he's playing. In the games when they kind of flip him around, the guy that comes off the bench hasn't looked as good. It was especially true for Stetson against South Carolina. Like, think of the way he played in that game versus any other game when he started was a starter. He looked completely different. So I don't see a need for a two quarterback scenario or a rotation or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a two quarterback. I'm reading it as a scenario for like, let one quarterback play and then have the second quarterback play the rest of the way, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So like
whereas,
what Bama did to us twice, that kind of thing.
No, not at all like that, because they did that out of necessity. What I'm saying is like,
right.
this is almost like a glorified Charleston Southern game, right? So Charleston Southern was clear the benches, get the seniors out there, let the seniors play as much as possible, blah 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 blah. This is like, I think I'm reading it as like he's asking if this is a time to like let Stetson run the offense and then let JT run the offense, kind of thing. I don't necessarily think we're going to see that, but that's how I'm reading it. But
Sure.
I agree. And to answer your first question, it was it was damn cold. so so we were out on the soccer field for that day, and it was cold, it was windy. I do find it a little funny that the guy from Miserable in Minnesota is asking that question, because
Yeah.
cold is a relative term for people from that live in Minnesota. But yeah, it was cold. It was cold for Georgia for sure. Because like I said, we were out there Saturday morning at like 10, 11 o'clock, and it was definitely not pleasant outside.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I did
but
notice the body language a little bit because I know like you have definitely pointed that out in the past, like certainly around Beck in whatever game that
Beck
was,
for sure.
right? Like in the was it UAB, I think, right? UAB was the one where we kind of didn't know who was going to start, and then it was Stetson, and then Beck when we kind of thought Beck was going to start, right? And then he did it, and his body language did not look great in that game. Um,
No.
I think in this game, all of them did. I think we talked about it in the review, right? That it was a bit of an off day for Stetson. It's senior day. Your family's there. I'm not sure. I think they probably were like not performing to the level they would have wanted to. Even though, again, whatever we killed them doesn't really matter. But that I think was kind of it. And like the connections that weren't there for JT, right? Were like the passes that were kind of almost there, and maybe a higher caliber receiver on the roster would have caught it. That kind of stuff maybe was a little frustrating. So I'm not too worried about it, but I did notice it as well. So
Yeah, it was definitely noticeable. I didn't necessarily see it from JT really, but I did for sure see it on Carson Beck, particularly after like there was a series that we had down the goal line right before he threw the interception or whatever. I think we were in the red zone, not the goal line, but anyway, like there was a series of passes and he was throwing it just like he would just look back and he was looking around. I don't know. He just looked like a lost puppy out there. Um,
yeah,
so I definitely think that the body language there for sure. JT, not so much, but like I don't know. There's something to be said about being humbled, and maybe that's what we're seeing is that these guys are out there realizing that this is like they're just grasping at playing time at this point because they realize that Stetson is the starter.
yeah, yeah. Could be for sure.
So anyway, that's
Yeah,
my thoughts.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, Next up, we've got Aaron King. How do you guys fight off that Munsoning feeling? Not that we've had to fight it off this year, but who knows? Maybe we will over the next few weeks.
How do we fight off the Munsoning feeling for what though?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my response. Which he said. He said not that we've had to fight it off this year. I think he's just looking for advice. Like if you're one who tends to Munson, how do you channel your energy elsewhere? And
Well, I'll go ahead and answer. I'll go ahead and answer from my perspective.
okay,
So the Munsoning that you get, at least this year, how I've gotten over it, fighting it off, is I go back and I look at John's stats that he's been tracking that is combining the net yards per play, the offensive yards per play, the defensive yards per play. Go back to Josh's stats, similar, success rates and all that kind of stuff. But then like the coup de grace is like these advanced stats that are comparing, Georgia amongst some of the most historic teams ever, some of the most dominant teams ever. The fact that we're performing at such a high rate on both offense and defense is just astounding. And so like I've gotten to the point now where our football team is averaging less than a touchdown or a touchdown roughly a game. I don't even know what the updated stats are with Charleston Southern. I haven't even looked, but we're averaging basically a score a game. And we asked this question earlier on was like, who left on the schedule do we think that can maybe even score 20 points against this team? And then conversely, who left on the schedule can prevent us from scoring, 20, 30? Based on the numbers, I don't see anybody left out there in the country that is in that category, with the exception of maybe Ohio State. And even then, like, they've been beating up on teams that have no defense. So I don't know, man. This defense is historic. Everybody needs to sit back, relax, kick your feet up, grab a bourbon, throw it on ice, throw some Coke in it if you want, and just enjoy what you're watching, because Kirby is painting his masterpiece right now, and it is beautiful.
Yep. I would say the only thing I'll add to that, I think this year it's easy to talk about. I would say in general, like one of my things too is to internalize a bit, and like if you're Munsoning, like don't like hop on Twitter and like be super negative and throw everything out there. Like, so like I have John to confide in. Like I confide in you, I confide in my dad. Like I have a smaller circle that I keep my Munsoning to, and to not like let that out into the ether and permeate to other people. So when something is small happens, and also like I feel like you're good at talking me off the ledge, and I'm good at talking you off the ledge, vice versa. So find someone that you can do that with. I feel like that's helpful. That's my other additional piece of advice.
Agreed. As with many things in life, having a support structure is important.
Agreed. All right, Pain Dog at C6 Pain on Twitter. He sent a link. It's to a Heisman House commercial. It's the commercial where I think there's like cats. It's like there's cats coughing up hairballs in the Heisman House, and they're like the cat mascots. So it's like various like wildcat and tiger mascots, and then they bring in they bring in Harry Dog, to help clean up the mat, or to help take care of the cats or whatever. So he says, pray they redo this commercial with Jordan Davis as Harry Dog if he wins the Heisman. Which he said, leading to the question: is there a Harry Dog outfit currently made that will fit Jordan Davis? I would say no. I'm shocked that there was maybe a red coat jacket that fits Jordan Davis. I know they gave him one, but he didn't put it on, so I'm not sure if it actually was big enough to fit Jordan Davis. But no, maybe Jordan Davis could fit in the Spike costume, that used to show up at basketball games. It's like the big inflatable thing. Well, I'm not sure if it's tall enough, but I'd say there's a better chance of him fitting into that than into the Harry Dog costume.
Yeah, no, I think that the Swedish fish thing is going to be a perfect scenario where you have Jordan Davis walking into the kitchen looking for his snacks, and he looks over and he asks, Herschel, like, "Hey man, where's my Swedish fish?" And right. you see Baker Mayfield sitting on the couch like eating them and just like looking like scared, and then like running away. With Jordan chasing him on the front lawn. That's my Heisman House moment.
I love. How about that? Someone snapped a photo of like someone gave Jordan Davis Swedish fish on Senior Day. That's so amazing.
I saw that.
I love that that's like out there and people know that. It's amazing. Okay, this next one from J Rake T. Before Bobby Dodd was built, what was that site used for? And he gave a hint, and it was like a poop emoji. So I'll say whatever it was, they've done a good job of like scrubbing the internet, because I, through like just general Google searches, couldn't find anything. So based on his emoji, I'm assuming he's saying that the site was like some sort of dump, I guess. I couldn't find anything about that though. So you'll have to hit us up on Twitter and let us know exactly there, and maybe shoot us an article, because I couldn't find anything. Everything that I found was very like warm and fuzzy. That they made Grant Field more level and to be a better playing surface, like in the early 1900s, and actually like the student body actually built the original stands that went around it originally. So it was all that kind of like fluffy stuff. Couldn't find anything about what it was before. So I feel like Georgia Tech is they've scrubbed the internet. Well, I'll reach out to J Rake T and see if he can fill us in on exactly what the deal was. But based on his emoji, I'm assuming like it was like a landfill or something.
A landfill or like a latrine or
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
That's a telling a telling emoji for sure.
Right.
That makes me want to know even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see if we can figure it out. We'll let the masses know when we find out. Um, and then sticking with their playing field. So Brett Belding says, please explain why Mark Richt Field looks like leftover stadium parts. I'll hang up and listen. Um, there, and he in the tweet he provided an overhead aerial photo of their stadium, and it definitely does look like disjointed. It does not look like a for an engineering school. The design looks kind of weird. It does look like four unique parts, like the four sides instead of like a continuous stadium. So who knows? It has definitely changed over time, and they've tried to kind of like retrofit it a bit. I know it actually shrank at one point. It got too big; they couldn't sell it out anymore. They actually removed some seats with one of their renovations. So definitely a very like piecemeal stadium that has been put together over time. Um, is my assumption there. I don't know, but I always like to. Anytime you can get in a good joke against these guys, I'm all for it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not really sure what the for for them being such a wonderful engineering school. You look at that picture that he sent, which may be good for us to share that with the folks, but it definitely looks like it definitely looks like a puzzle piece that we're trying to figure out. We're trying to smash a puzzle piece of a stadium into another puzzle piece of a stadium.
Right, right. It is very weird looking. Very weird looking. Uh, all right, 51-7, GATA. What was your favorite tech game you were ever at? Um, Not surprisingly, he lists his as 2002, the year that we won 51-7. Um, so, trying to think. So for me, my favorite game, I mean, that was definitely up there. Just to give a different one, I would say 2001, the year before. I was at that game, and that kind of ended our that ended our 3-year losing streak to them. That was pretty awesome. So that was Rick's first year, and in that game, Veron Haynes ran all over Tech, and I remember Fred Gibson was a freshman that year, had some pretty big plays in it as well. I'll go with that one. Do you have a favorite Tech game you went to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got to go to Mark Richt's last game. It ended up being Mark Richt's last game on the flat. So it wasn't too long after that he was let go. So a buddy of mine gave me his ticket to go to that game with my son Carter. So Carter was actually there too. So we actually saw Mark Richt's last game.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good one. And then the tech game you were at that you would like to forget. So he said 1998 was his. I definitely know what mine is. I don't know. Do you have one?
I don't know that I could remember one. I don't know that I could remember one that I didn't that like I
So
had
for
a bad time
you,
with.
I mean, like, so you were a freshman in 2000, right? Right? Was it
2000, yeah, 2000, yeah,
2000? So Donovan's last year. Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean, like, because that year, like, we did lose to Tech that year. So your freshman year, we lost to Tech. That was that third in the streak of 3 losses. I'll say like
But
that one, like we weren't having a good year, and they were having. It was kind of expected, like.
I don't know that I went to that game though.
Okay, man,
Some of them.
you're a student and you didn't go to the game. What's going on here?
I mean, I was probably at home for Thanksgiving, Jim.
I mean, then you go back to Athens. I don't know. That's what I did. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Mine's easy. So I was at that 98 game, and I would like to forget that, but it was instantly topped by the following year, 1999. So I was at that game as well, the infamous Jasper Sakes game. Both of those games, Georgia won, and Tech cheated, and the game was taken away from us via cheating. So in 98, Georgia actually recovered a fumble. So Joe Hamilton fumbled on what was the game-winning drive. Hamilton fumbled. Georgia recovered it. The referees ruled that he was down. There was no instant replay. Couldn't change it. Tech goes on to kick a field goal, wins the game. And then in 1999, the same thing happened again. Jasper, but in opposite, right? So Jasper Sanks was down. The call was ruled a fumble, and Tech goes on to win that game in overtime. That's the one I would like to forget. I will add that it's amazing. This will tell you something about Kim. I was at that game with Kim, so we were in college. That was actually the first fall of us dating. And at the time, she was actually a student at Georgia State at the time, and she lived in the old Olympic Village housing, which is like right across the street from Bobby Dodd.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and so this will give a little insight into how I've changed. I was way worse about football back then. I'm much more mellow now. I was so mad, like I just like when the game was over, like I just like left the stadium. I just like walked off, and I was like wandering around downtown Atlanta like by myself. Like I left everyone that I was with. I just walked away and like didn't like say bye to anyone or everything. I just like walked, and I was just like wandering aimlessly around downtown because I was so mad. Like I couldn't just be around people. So like then I eventually like I was like, oh my gosh, like where is everyone? Like where am I? What's going on? And like I went to Kim's dorm and was like, ring the bell. I was like, let me in. She's like, have you calmed down yet?
You calmed down yet? Little did you know that was foreshadowing for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, shockingly, Kim didn't like dump me over that. So, shout out to Kim, thankfully. She didn't do that. I also like, this is a very embarrassing day for me. Like I was such an idiot. I mean, my only defense is that I was 19 years old, whatever. Not that that's an excuse. I also, like my high school friends, like my kind of core group of buddies, like half of us went to Georgia and half went to Tech. So I had a bunch of friends that went to Tech. And most of them all lived in an apartment together. And I called their apartment and after the game, and they didn't answer. And I got their answering machine, which also tells you about the time a bit because they were still answering machines then. And I like left a message. I left them a message on their answering machine and said like something super. I was like, I want one of you to look me in the face and tell me that was a fumble or something like super lame like that. The disappointing thing is that they didn't keep that. And like again, engineering guys, you'd think one of them would have like digitized that and they could use it against me still, but it's been lost. That recording does not exist anymore. So that I would like to forget that day altogether.
Yeah, let's just forget the whole thing.
But again, this is why I hate these guys so much. Like I have said that I feel like your hatred for South Carolina was kind of born by we struggled against them when you got to school and during your time in school, like kind of as your fandom is really taking hold. And that's how it is for me, right? I mean, like we had our longest winning streak that we've ever had against these guys leading up to me going to college. So like when I got to college, we had won 7 in a row. I didn't really remember what it was like to lose to Georgia Tech, and I just talked all kinds of smack to all my buddies who went to Tech. And then we lost to them for 3 straight years, and they rubbed it in my face, every day for 3 years straight. And I got really tired of it. So I do not like these guys, and it's because of that. It's because all that stuff happened when I was in college.
Right.
So Fletcher Proctor is kind of building off of that moment. So he asked, did the Jasper Sanks fumble set in motion the Donnan firing a year later? If Sanks doesn't fumble, in air quotes, would Donnan have survived George Godsey pulling a Vic in Sanford in 2000, thus leading to Richt going to Virginia and Georgia hiring Chan Gailey or Jeff Bauer a few years later? I don't like this alternate reality that Fletcher has laid out here. I don't know. I mean, I would say like in general, maybe because I think that fumble also kind of messed with Jasper Sanks' psyche. He was never the same player again after that.
Right.
So, but ultimately, I don't know. Like if Donnan if everything else had still played out exactly the same and the only thing you change is that we win that game. I'm not sure it would have changed much of anything because that 2000 year was a pretty big disappointment. Certainly losing 3 years in a row to Tech didn't help. I don't know. I would say ultimately no. I don't think unless it, like I said, Jasper Sengs had a huge year in 2000, which could have maybe changed the trajectory of that team altogether. Anyways, so maybe, but I'm gonna lean no on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean no as well. I don't know. That would have been. I don't know. I think that Richt was on his way. I think that we had kind of reached the crux of Donnan.
Yeah. I think he had kind of hit his ceiling at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one from Decula Dog. Which individual play stands out the most to you in the last 20 years against the North Avenue Nets? In my opinion, it's the Tony Taylor snatch and score for a touchdown. I've got one. I don't know. Do you have an individual play in the last 20 years?
The Massaquoi touchdown.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing that you said that because that's mine. And now we're going to let someone else who we love on this podcast tell us all about it.
We are on the 4.5-yard line, third down. You win or you lose here. 12-7 Georgia Tech. Mikey Henderson has come in, which means if we can get the ball to him, speed. Tech at the moment in a 4-man line. We got 4 receivers out wide. Stafford retreats, looks, pumps, throw. Touchdown! 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 My God, a touchdown! 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 Massaquoi!
I don't know about you, but that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was yours.
Considering
obviously, I had done the preparation to pull that up, so that was mine too.
Yeah, no, the Massaquoi touchdown. Not to mention, so there's a lot wrapped up there, right? So that was a big win, right? It was the last second win. It was a great Munson call. I think what year was that?
So that was 2006. So that was Stafford's freshman year. Yeah.
What was our record in 06?
We weren't super good.
It was
like
super good, yeah.
We were like 8-4 or something like that. So that game ended. We also had a comeback win over Virginia Tech in the Peach Bowl. I mean, because it was kind of like so that Tech moment and then into the Peach Bowl was kind of a springboard into 2007, which was was a pretty good season.
Which was a good season, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
2007 was the year that we were ranked number 1, right?
No.
Preseason number 1?
That was 8. So 7 was the actually good season where we beat Hawaii in the Sugar Bowl.
Right.
And then 8 was the preseason number 1.
So what I'm looking for there is it was a springboard into something that I felt like was greater, because I felt like that season was pretty mediocre.
It was.
At least in terms of how we look at seasons now, being the spoiled Georgia fans that we are. That game was just like a springboard for the Stafford years, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for sure.
It was definitely my most memorable one, for sure.
Yeah, if you expand it to 25 years, it would be Corey Allen, his touchdown against Tech in '97. But if we're keeping it to 20, for me it's Massaquoi. Let's see, Jason Huggins, Hugdog18 on Twitter, which it was his birthday this week, by the way. So happy birthday, Jason.
Happy birthday, sir.
When you step on Tech's campus, do you walk a little taller and have a bit more of a tude towards our Tech brethren? I kind of turn into an a-hole who berates the nerds at every turn. I respect them, but I hate them. Hate in all caps. We already saw how I was an a-hole on their campus when I was 19 years old. I would say in general, yeah, I'm probably about the same. I definitely, although I haven't been there, the last time I've been to a game at Tech was 2005, so the Shockley year, which was another like super close win in that game as well. But in general, I would say yes for sure. And again, like part of that too is like I said, I've got a bunch of friends that went there, and I like to. I don't know.
Yeah. I was about to say lately I feel like I walk taller in regards to anything and have an attitude in regards to anything related to Georgia Tech, regardless of if I'm on their campus. So I've got a workout buddy that is a tech grad, and it's just so humorous to basically just have him just be like, there's nothing I can say. Like, just go ahead and just keep pummeling me in regards to this.
Right. Yeah, I know. It has lost a bit of its luster because they're so like dejected at this point. A lot of them. I know a lot of my buddies actually kind of don't even really follow them anymore, which is great. Like I love it. Like haha, whatever. But my friends that are still like diehard, I mean, they kind of know. They know what the deal is at this point. And don't really talk as much smack anymore, which is why we have to continue to beat them because it's horrible when they do. At any rate,
yes, it's awful. We have to win.
Yeah, it's like, I can't deal with it. That's why I just like I want to beat them. I want them to beg for mercy. I can't stand these guys. Hambone, Hampton Huggins, son of Jason. He asked over under Georgia minus 21, like Georgia up by 21 points in the first quarter. Did we even get to that? I guess we did get to that against Charleston Southern. That's a lot. I don't know. I think that was kind of what we were looking at, some stuff kind of like that against Tennessee, and although Tennessee's a lot better than Georgia Tech. So it could be close. I mean, we could get up by 21 in the first quarter. It's not out of the realm. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I'll
I don't expect that we will be quite as aggressive the first time around. So the reason I say that is like there's usually a little bit of post Thanksgiving hangover for this game. I feel like particularly this week. So I don't know. I feel like that will probably come out a little bit slower than we normally are because guys will be like a little relaxed, I guess, for lack of a better. Maybe that tryptophan is still kicking in on the 2 turkeys that Jordan Davis had.
Right. I don't know. Do Swedish fish counteract that though? Like that could be. I don't know. That could be like a secret weapon right there. I don't know.
It's possible.
Let's see. Frip Dog, my dad. Over under on the number of over unders sent by Coach Trillbill, and my dad set that at 6.5. So in a moment we'll see how good of a line my dad set on that. And then at what point in the game will it be safe to put up a Christmas tree? Are you familiar with that reference? Do you know what he's talking about?
I don't. What is he talking about?
That's a Jeff Dantzler thing. So Jeff Dantzler, his rule in his house is that you can't put up a Christmas tree until Georgia beats Georgia Tech. And in years where Georgia loses to Georgia Tech, there's no Christmas tree. So
that's funny.
Yeah. So my stance is, it's not really, you do it. It's not over till the fat lady sings. You put the Christmas tree up after the game. So
there are 6 Christmas trees already up in the Powell household. So
holy cow! You do not subscribe to that logic.
I do not subscribe to that logic, mostly because my wife and children are, trying to get things put up for a while. We had Christmas lights up on the house for several weeks now, and I didn't turn them on until the 15th. I told my wife, I was like, I'm not going to turn them on until like halfway through November. I didn't want to be the first people in the neighborhood to have the Christmas lights on. That crazy. But fortunately, at the beginning of November, there was 2 families that had already turned on their Christmas lights. So I wasn't the crazy person in the neighborhood. Right. And in my defense, most of the trees that are up are like the mini, like the like 3 foot tall trees that the kids have up in their rooms. Each kid has their own tree. that they get to decorate for whatever they want, however they want. No rules, ifs, ands, or buts. But like when it comes to the main Christmas tree, my wife tries to lock it down for obvious reasons with antique ornaments and such.
Got it. We are a no Christmas until after Thanksgiving family. So I actually usually these days I put up the outdoor stuff on the day of the SEC championship game is usually what I do, and it helps me kind of pass the time because I'm usually nervous, assuming we're playing in it. It helps me pass the day, and the game gets there faster, and keeps me from having football on my mind. Helps me pass the time. That's usually what I do.
That's fair, but here's my issue with it is that if you've got all that stuff for Christmas, like, don't you want to enjoy it more than like a couple of weeks?
Yeah, but like I don't know, but I don't know because we feel like we're very much like why is there Halloween stuff in Home Depot or Lowe's in like I don't know August, and then it's like it's not even Halloween yet. Why is it Christmas already? So we're very much a let's get to Halloween, then let's get to Thanksgiving, and then let's get to Christmas, and we do each one. So that's how we do it. But for sure, our neighbor across the street, he has like he's got the best light display actually, and so like our kids definitely get a little jealous when their stuff goes up every year. But we just get to look out our front window and look across the street at their lights.
So, right.
Yeah, we definitely wait. And that was it for what my dad had. So that kind of leads us into all right. Time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders. And first, we will check my dad's over-unders on over-unders. My dad set the line at 6.5, and Coach Trillbill has 1, 2.
We gotta go over.
He's got 10, so it was the over. So my dad was a little bit off, and I laughed at that so hard that Munson has now started barking at me. So
scared Munson.
Munson is Munsoning. We'll table the first one because that kind of hints toward the score. That was over under 5.5 offensive touchdowns. Over under 1.5 defensive touchdowns. It's a lot.
I'm gonna go under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under as well. And then over under 0.5 special teams touchdowns. I'm gonna go over again. I want to see this happen. So I'm gonna go with the over.
I'm gonna go under. Just gonna go the safe route.
Okay. All right. Over under 500 total yards of offense for Georgia.
500 yards total offense. What was our total yardage last game?
We were close to that. I think we were over 500, I think. I could actually tell you. I bet that up. Yeah, we were under. So we were 488 against Charleston Southern. But
yeah, I'm gonna go.
You're gonna go.
Yeah, under? I'm gonna go under because of the field position.
So you think it's gonna be the same thing? We're gonna have the same issue?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go over. I'll go over there.
You're gonna go over,
and then over under 3.5 rushing touchdowns.
I'm gonna go push.
Can't push when there's a half. Can't push when there's a half.
I'll go under.
Okay. Man, we had over 4 running backs have a rushing TD list. I'm gonna go over on 3.5 rushing.
Can I go over? Okay.
Crowd capacity, 70% Georgia fans. Over under.
Over. Are we talking about by halftime or?
Oh man, by the end of the game it's gonna be like 100%.
Yeah.
I'll say it'll be pretty close. 70 is a lot, but I think it could be done. My understanding is like you can basically like buy tickets from like the Georgia Tech ticket office even. There's so many available. So
that's funny.
Yeah, which I recommend doing.
I haven't. There's an outside shot. There's an outside shot that I might end up like last minute going to this game. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll get to our plans for Saturday, I guess, at the end. But
Okay, fair enough. Brock Vandegrift appearance in the fourth quarter. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no Brock Vandegrift this game.
Yeah, no, I don't think Brock's getting in on this game.
Geoff Collins sideline push-ups over under 7.5. I'm gonna say under because there's gonna be no reason for him to be doing push-ups.
Yeah, no, 0 push-ups for you, Collins.
And then over under 0.5 tech players thrown into walls.
That's a great one. I'm gonna go under. I really hope that it's under because I don't want anybody to be suspended for the next game.
Exactly. And I'm gonna go back to the Kirby halftime rant and talking about Florida being undisciplined and Georgia being disciplined. So I feel like he's kind of harping on that. So I will take the under as well. Right. All right, that's it for Coach Joe Bill's over unders. So as we look at the game itself, so the spread is quite hefty. Georgia is favored by 35 points. I think it's the biggest spread, like since they've been really tracking spreads. I think it goes back to like 95 or something like that. And the over under is 54.5 points. So that gives
What's
an implied
score prediction?
Yeah, implied score would be like, if you round it, it'd be like 45-10 is the kind of deal. And then Odd Sharks got it like 55.2 to 10.6. Georgia winning, obviously, with a cover and the under is what they've got. You were doing the
cover and over.
Oh, did they change it? Oh yeah, they cover in the over. Sorry. You're right. I can't. I was told there'd be no math. I just wrote it down.
I was told there'd be no math. Yeah.
Yeah, cover in the over. So I know, like, what's the like weird impacting scores like negative? What is it, like 23 points or something like that?
So they're averaging 26. Call it 26 points a game.
Yeah.
Our impact on that puts it at like 6 points, I think. Because I think that our impact score has been like 21 points. I'm not sure if he's updated those stats, but basically puts it at like a 3 points, I'm guessing, that they could potentially score based on the impact of the defense. Obviously, that's where I went with our last score previously for the Charleston Stubborn, not realizing that there could be a potential fumble recovered, an interception fumble recovery for a touchdown that prevented us from shutting them out. Right. I think this game could easily be a shutout. I think that they'll probably get 6 points off of field goals. So I'm going Georgia 50-6 is kind of what I'm thinking. This feels like a 50 burger. I think he's gonna try to get there, hang 50 on him, hang half 100 on him, and I think we're gonna try to shut him out.
Okay. And are you gonna hedge your bets, or are you gonna take the over as well? Because that would be the over.
Yeah, 50-6 is what I was saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm giving you the option to hedge your bet and take the under, because sometimes you like to do that.
No, I'm not going to hedge my bets this time.
Okay. There's a reason behind my score prediction. So my score prediction is 49-0, Georgia, and my reason is the biggest margin of victory in this series was Tech winning a game 48-0, and I want to own that record. So my prediction is Georgia 49, Tech 0. That would be nice. The under. That would be the under. So I'll stick with that too. I won't hedge my bets.
What would the over be? 50, 55?
Yeah, you have to get to 55. But I predicted 49-0. So
55-0 would be nice.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I'd be fine with that too. That's my logic, which is not logical. So I guess it's more of what I hope the score to be. But that's fine. I'm going to stick with that.
Be a lot cooler if you hung half 100 on them.
yeah, for real. For real. So what's your actually, you know, the only other thing I did want to add, like I was trying to look like, you know, like I talked about at the opening, right? Like we didn't get to play these guys, you know, this year or last year with the COVID year, the All SEC schedule. I looked back because I was trying to remember, like, who did we play Thanksgiving week? Um, you know, last year because we weren't playing Georgia Tech. So like, what was going on a year ago? And it was actually we were in the midst of the return of JT Daniels. Um, so last year at this time we were, you know, getting ready to play South Carolina. So we had already had the one JT Daniels return game, and then it was the second one against South Carolina. So I don't know, definitely kind of some return to normalcy for this year. But yeah, so you said there's a chance you might go to this one, kind of last minute.
Yeah,
Do you guys
yeah,
do
it's
Thanksgiving
possible.
plans? Like, do you have like you guys hosting Thanksgiving or anything, or just sticking with
We are
there?
we are hosting Thanksgiving. We've got my dad, her dad, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are coming over, and I think that we are going to, you know, we're actually not doing turkey this year. We've got ham and I've requested steak because we always end up like,
Hmm.
you know, eating some turkey, but like turkey's not my favorite and
Yeah,
it's not our kids' favorite either. So like
yeah.
we end up throwing away so much turkey because we cook it and nobody ever eats it. So I have humbly requested steak for this year. So we're gonna have steak and ham.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not opposed to that. We are doing a turkey. It's just going to be us. We're staying home this year, and I am going to smoke a turkey. So I did that last year. I'm not huge on turkey either. But I do enjoy smoked turkey. I think it actually adds a bit to it. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm going to do that again this year. So
smoked turkey is pretty good if I had to choose. But then again, like I don't know, I just prefer steak.
yeah, likewise, same. Yeah, I definitely like the multiple meat. Going with the multiple meats, that's good. If we were hosting, I'd probably add a ham, have turkey and ham. I like going that way too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
ham is solid. We got a little tiny ham.
you got a small ham.
We got a little tiny ham. Yep. As far as the game goes, you know, my son has been in my ear about going to a game, and this is obviously the last opportunity that I think that we're realistically going to be able to take him. So, I don't know. We're gonna have to play around with it, see what the weather is gonna look like. But I may end up taking him to this game. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely sounds like tickets are pretty readily available. I saw it looks like they're actually like below face value on StubHub, is what I heard. And then I did hear you could even just go to the Tech ticket office and buy them directly from Georgia Tech. I know several people have done that. I'm pretty sure 51-7 GATA did that. I know he said he's going. I think that's how he got his tickets. So they are available. So if anyone wants to add even a little bit more red to the stadium, shouldn't be too hard to do. So I think I was thinking, like in the back of my mind, that always runs through my head, but most likely I love being 2 states away. I don't know. So cool. All right, man. Well, no love lost for me for these guys. Not like not worried about it so much. Yeah, not worried about it so much, but definitely want to put it on them pretty good. I never pass up on a chance to beat Georgia Tech in anything. So that's just how I am.
I would love to take another state title home, Jim. That's all I'm looking for
That's
here.
true. Add another belt to our collection for the season.
Add another belt to the collection.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, hope you have a good Thanksgiving, and I'll extend that to anyone who's listening. If you're listening, it may have already had your Thanksgiving. So if so, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. If not, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Everyone stay safe out there and stay warm if you're going to the game.
Yes, enjoy friend. Hopefully everybody's enjoying friends and family, and happy Thanksgiving from us to you. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs.